Russian forces are stepping up attacks across Ukraine again, hitting key infrastructure around the country. Local officials say at least 6 train stations in the central and western parts of Ukraine were hit yesterday. A number of explosions also rocked the western city of Lviv near the Polish border, damaging 3 power stations there. The city's mayor reported the attacks knocked out power and disrupted water supply in some areas. He also said at least 2 people were injured in the attacks. Lviv largely has been a safe haven for diplomats and for tens of thousands of Ukrainians fleeing the fighting in the east since the war began. It also is a major transfer point for weapons coming in from NATO countries. Joining us now, Democratic member of both the Intelligence and Armed Services Committees, Congressman Jason Crow of Colorado. He's a former Army Ranger and recipient of the Bronze Star. Congressman Crow was part of the congressional delegation led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi that visited Ukraine over the weekend and met with President Zelensky. Congressman, it's great to have you back on with us this morning. You got to sit at a table across from President Zelensky. What did he want from you?
Well, good morning. It was quite an honor to sit with President Zelensky for almost 4 hours in Kyiv, and it was really clear during that time that he has become an incredible, historic wartime leader. His clarity, his focus, his mastery of what's going on the battlefield, but also with his people in Ukraine, was really mind-blowing. So he's an incredible man, a compelling man. Was a great opportunity. We sat down, and I actually had the opportunity to talk to him for quite a while, where we just talked about weapons, what systems do they need. He understands what's going on in the battlefield. Really, right now, what they need is long-range lethal drones. They need multiple launch rocket systems, these MLRSs, so that they can engage Russian forces in the south at long distances. And they need anti-ship missiles so that they can open up the port of Odessa and protect the port of Odessa and get food out to the rest of the world, because Vladimir Putin is trying to use food as a weapon. They blockaded food exports, and the Ukrainians need anti-ship missiles to stop that blockade and to try to prevent hunger throughout the world.
And some of that would be included in the proposed $33 billion package that the president laid out last week. You have experience on the battlefield. I'm curious, in your conversations with President Zelensky and what you saw inside Ukraine, your assessment of how Ukraine has held up so well, beyond held up, but has pushed back the Russian military away from Kyiv at the outset and now holding its own even in the east, closer to the Russian border. Why is that Ukrainian military doing so well?
Well, they've defied all expectations, and I think this is a reminder for everybody that armies on paper don't fight on paper. It's not like you have a force that's sitting there on a ledger and it marches off the ledger onto the battlefield. It's real people that do the fighting. And what the Ukrainians have shown is that they are a proud people, they are a fierce people, they have ingenuity, they have prowess on the battlefield, and they're willing to fight for their families, for their neighborhoods, for their hometowns. And the Russians, in contrast that, are fighting an unjust war. They were not prepared to fight this. They're committing terrible war crimes, the systematic rape of young children, of young girls, carpet bombing of civilian areas, missile attacks on maternity wards, blockading of food aid. The Russians know they're fighting an unjust war. That's why many of them are deserting. That's why there are morale issues. So if we continue to provide weapons to Ukraine, they can and they will win this. But we have to move fast.
Congressman Crow, what was the best estimate of Russian casualties since the beginning of the war? And is it concerning that the Russians have taken so many casualties and are still continuing on the fight, at a point in modern warfare that, most armies would have, receded, negotiated, but they seem to be sticking in there. What does that say about the potential for this to be a protracted conflict?
The Russian casualties are extremely high. Some estimates are more than 10,000 killed in action, more than 25,000 wounded in action. So to put that in perspective, Russians went in with over 110 battalion tactical groups. Each battalion tactical group is about 1,000. So we think that they only have somewhere around 70% of their combat power available. And we think worldwide, about 20% of the Russian military and their combat units have been degraded and might be combat ineffective. That's worldwide. So they have taken severe casualties, thousands of tanks, armored personnel vehicles. But the difference is Vladimir Putin controls the media. He controls the narrative in Russia. He is an autocrat. He controls the political system in Russia. So he's just continuing to throw troops and tanks at the problem without really much political blowback at all. So that's the challenge here, and that's why this is going to have to be a military victory that's won on the battlefield by the Ukrainians.
And Congressman Crow, nice to have you on the show. I know the delegation also went to Poland. While there's such intense fighting on the battlefield and strategic implications, options, and decisions to be made, there's also the story of the millions of refugees that have walked over the border into Poland, and Poland just openly taken them in, which... Again, imagine any country doing this, taking millions of refugees in over the course of months. What did you find and hear from the Poles when the delegation went to Warsaw?
Well, the Polish people are doing unbelievable work. We had a chance to meet with Ambassador Brzezinski and spend some time with him. And, you know, what he told us is you have a country of 38 million that has taken in over 3 million refugees. So they've actually increased the population of the country by 10%. Just in Warsaw alone, the population of Warsaw has increased over 25% in the last 2 months as they have opened their doors. And these aren't tents. There are not tent cities in Poland. They are opening their homes, opening their apartments, providing food, welcoming in their neighbors. It is truly an amazing sight as you see Poland opening up their hearts, their minds, their wallets for their brothers and sisters in Ukraine, because they know that in Europe, they are all in this together, that this is a Russian invasion against Europe, against the world, and they're going to stand up and prevent it from spreading.
Congressman Jason Crow, thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.